Hi guys, it's Cynthia, and I know it's been a little while since I've posted a video for you, and I thought it's about time. I had a client come in yesterday, and she was about at the bottom of her barrel. And it reminded me that there's one thing I wanted to get out of this whole project in terms of posting videos and putting up a website and meeting with you guys individually, and that's to be a little bit of an inspiration, maybe a motivation, and somebody that can cheer you on while you're going through this process because these processes are really challenging. They're really tough, and they're going to cause you and force you, if you step up, to confront some pretty dark places in yourself that you haven't looked at before. So, I wanted to share with you today this idea about the process that you go through and when you first step into the courthouse and when you first start this process, and how it's always darkest before the dawn. Now, I know that that is an old trite cliche, and people use that all the time. But it's really true in these circumstances because if you think about it, nobody walks into court happy. Nobody walks into court excited that their kids are taken or that they're having to confront issues of substance abuse or domestic violence or any number of things that bring these cases to court. What's interesting is that certain people take this as a possibility for them and an opportunity to make some changes and to really grow, create some significant behavioral change, which is really the whole point of this. So, with that, I wanted to give you kind of maybe a little bit of a roadmap, some ideas maybe to help you along the way, and a little bit of encouragement because I know that can be really tough, especially when you're in that space where it feels like it's so dark and the darkness is never going to go away. But I promise you, just as the sun plans its ascent through the sky every morning, and just as every night turns into day, so too can this experience turn into a much brighter, happier, more positive one. And I want to encourage you to stick it out. I want to encourage you to show up. I want to encourage you to know that you can do this. It's absolutely within you to do this. You just have to apply yourself. So, how do you do that? People ask me that all the time. And I think the first step is to obviously acknowledge that there's an issue, that there are problems that you need to address. But the second step, once you've acknowledged that and you've said, okay, look, clearly life is falling around my feet right now. I'm in court. I've lost my children, at least to the state temporarily. And what do I do? I think the next step internally is to take really good inventory of some of the decisions that you've been making that haven't been serving you, decisions that you're making that are getting you into these situations in the first place. And you can do that as simply as taking a piece of paper and a pen and writing down some of the decisions you make during the day. Did you decide to use? Did you decide to call the person that abuses you? Did you decide to go back to your old neighborhood where you know there are bad influences? Did you decide that you weren't going to set your alarm and you weren't going to show up for court because you were feeling despondent or dejected? These are decisions that we make, and as big boys and girls, we need to be very aware of where we're making good decisions, where we're not making good decisions, and whether those decisions are taking us towards what we want or away from what we want. So I would encourage you at first glance to start looking at what decisions you're making and whether they're serving you or not. The second step would be to take a look at the decisions you've been making and look at what other kinds of decisions you might make in your life, what different choices you might make. Maybe you make the choice to commit yourself to going to your drug treatment. Maybe you make the choice to go to counseling and therapy. Maybe you make the choice to call your attorney on a regular basis, call DCS on a regular basis, and make yourself available for this process. Because I will guarantee you that if you make yourself available for the process, there's no way to not get something out of it. The services are put in place for a reason. They're there to support you. They're there to help get you to the significant behavioral change that everybody's looking to see in order to get your kids back. So those are the first two pieces. I think the bigger picture here is the shift in perspective that comes with all of this. And a good question to ask yourself on a daily basis would be, how can I shift my perspective? How can I think bigger? How can I be better? How can I make changes that are in alignment with the person that I want to be? And I have a lot of clients that come in and they get very stuck in who they are and who they've been. I had a client recently come in and talk about, well, you shouldn't do this to a drug addict or talk to a drug addict this way or whatever else. And that client was holding herself in this space of being a drug addict. And the tough part of that is that in order to move forward in the direction you want, that perspective about, hey, I'm a drug addict, is going to have to start shifting, is going to have to start changing. And whether we start changing that with our language or the way we're thinking about it, the way we show up in our choices, meaning we don't use anymore, those perspectives have to change, or we're going to find ourselves smack dab in the same places that we've always been. And I want to let you know that I wholeheartedly believe in you guys. And I know that you can do this. I know that if you apply yourselves and you take advantage of the services and you stay in touch with your attorneys and DCS and show up to court, that this process can work. It's just a function of you showing up in a way that makes it workable. So I offer you all of my encouragement. I offer you all of my support. And I wish you the absolute best in your journey. I know you can do this.